So last week we started talking about the 4 types of questions in the world. The first type of question that we talked about was a question that was a right there question. Raise your hand, someone tell me, what's a right there question? Lindley, what's a right there question?
A right there question is something that is stated right in the
Yeah, it's a question that literally is going to be answered in one place, word for word in the text. What are one of those keywords or those keywords that when you're looking at a question, a comprehension question that I give you, if you see these words, it's going to tell you that this is a right there type of question. Andy.
The keywords are who, what, where, when, what kind, and how many.
Yeah, those are keywords that when they're linked into a question, that you can only find the answer in one place, word for word in the text. For example, I might say, what is the title of the first chapter of Wonder? Is that a right there question? Yeah. Can you look in one spot to find the answer?
Yep.
Yeah. What are you doing, Jackson, right now? You are going in the book to look for what? The what? Yeah, exactly. The chapter title. Will you tell us what's the first chapter? Ordinary. See? Answered one place. If I said, what is the name of Augie's new school, could you find that word for word in one place in the book?
I know the
Yeah.
name.
What is the name of the book, Ethan? Or school, thank you. Beecher Prep, awesome. So those are right there questions. Then I have the second one that's a little bit harder. It is the think and search question. Who can tell me what's a think and search question? What is a think and search question? Micah?
An answer not found in the text, but not one place found in the rest.
Yes, it's a question that's found in the text, but instead of finding it in one place, it's found throughout the entire text. So today when we finish reading Wonder through pages like 43, your homework that I said, you didn't have to finish last night, it says retell the tour events from Augie's tour and perspective. So we are going to write a summary. We are retelling the events. Do we need to go anywhere else besides the book to find those answers? No, right? You're basically just repeating exactly what you read. That is a think and search question. Those are more like summary questions, okay? So does everyone understand those are the 2 easiest types, okay? What I want you to do is I want you to put your head down. On a scale from 1 to 5, I want you to put up on your hand how confident you are in understanding that there are 4 types of questions, one that's right there and one that's think and search. How many of you understand what I'm talking about? 5 is, yep, I got it. 4 is like, I need a little bit more reminder on it. 1, like, Miss Glenn, you are speaking a different language. I don't get it. I wrote the notes down, but I don't know what you're talking about. Let me see your vote. All right, awesome. Hands down, heads up. So the last 2 we're going to talk about today are the ones that get a little bit harder. So you're going to probably want to flip the page or go to the next section, and you're going to make the next heading of your notes, author and me. Author and me. Author and me questions are, I said think and search is you have to use a little bit of brain power. Author and me is literally what it says. You use the author, so you use information in the text, info from text, comma, plus your background knowledge. So this means you are going to get evidence from your text, okay? And you are going to then use your background knowledge, what you know about life, in order to answer the question. These author and me questions are like inference questions. It's questions, does anyone know what an inference is? Lindley, what's an inference?
An inference is when you take what you've learned or what you know about the topic and what else you've learned, and you make an educated guess on what is going to happen.
Yeah, so you make it, they're inference questions, meaning you are making educated guesses based off what you know from the story. So they're inference questions, so they're educated guess based off of info or events in text and what you know about life. So the questions look like or sound like keywords that it might be like the author implies. Okay, again, it's not word for word. It might be author implies. It might say make an inference. It might say, why do you think? It might say, the passage suggests. Does anyone else have any ideas? What could be a question that your teacher or someone could ask you that you need to use some knowledge from the text plus your background knowledge in order to answer it? So the author implies that so-and-so happens. I might say make an inference about what's going to happen next. Why do you think? Questions like, why do you think Julian is mean? Or the passage suggests. Does anyone else have any other ideas? What could be an author and me question? Micah?
What do you think will Augie be like at the school once he finally gets used to it?
Yeah, exactly. Like what's going to happen next questions, right? I like that. What will happen next? Those are all questions that you need to use what you know about the text and your background knowledge. There are also questions like characterization questions. That's a big fancy word, characterization. How many of you just wrote it on your page and are in your head smiling like, yeah, characterization, fancy word, I wrote it, but I really have no idea what it means? I like that. I like that honesty. Based on any part of that word, can we guess what characterization has to be about? Austin? Absolutely. Yeah, that's like an author and me question I just asked you. You used, based off the word character, you used your background knowledge of what you knew a character was to get the definition. That's like context clues. Awesome job. So characterization is this idea of you describing someone socially, emotionally, and physically based off their actions. For example, an author and me question is, you walked into this room the first day of school, or you might have walked past my classroom like before school started, and you just looked around this room and you were like, okay, I got some green paper on the walls here. Okay, I got some stuff about the brain. I got a quote, education's not the filling of a bucket, but the lighting of a fire. Okay, how to describe a book. Okay, living language. I got another quote. I got some crazy things hanging from the ceiling. That is all like evidence. That would be all like text evidence. And then you use your background knowledge. Judging off of what you saw in this room, you in your head probably thought Miss Glenn was blank type of teacher. Does that make sense? In your head, like based off of what you see in this room, how would you describe me as a teacher if you hadn't met me yet? You just looked at what was going on in this room. Miles?
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay. Andy? Creative with paint colors. Yep. Mallory?
Big personality.
Big personality. Yep. Lindley? A fun teacher. Yeah. So I hope those are all true, what you actually think. But do you see, that's like an author and me question. Could you use those, did those describing words about me, did they say it word for word somewhere in here? No, you needed to use the stuff that was in this room and then your background knowledge of knowing what kind of person would put these things in the class. Does that make sense? Those are like author and me questions. The last one is the hardest, okay? This is the one that I call, so I'm going to call author and me, what would be our little nickname? If I said that right there, super easy, if you can't answer it, I mean this with all my love, you're just being lazy because all you have to do is go back in your book. I mean that with all my love. Think and search is like, okay, now I just have to search for it over a couple pages. Author and me is some answers, some parts are found in the book, but then I need to use my background knowledge. Does anyone have a little tagline we could come up with? Micah?
Think about it.
Think about it. Okay. I like that. Think about it. Anyone else? Sit under the little metaphoric tree. Do you know what that means?
No. It's a metaphor.
A metaphor. So you got to sit under your thinking. Put your thinking cap on. So I like that. Think about it / I'm going to say use your thinking cap. You know, like my thinking cap with the little helicopter on the top. You're really going to have to think about these. But then, the last one, the fourth type of question, this is the hardest question in the world ever made. And it's called On My Own. Oh, snap! On my own. Hardest question in the world. I'm going to call it sink or swim. I know, right? You either swim and you're okay, or you sink to the bottom of the lake, but we don't want that to happen to you, so I will save you before it gets to that point. But a sink or swim type of question on my own, it cannot be answered from the text, okay? The answer is found nowhere in the text. Answer not found in text. So if the answer is not found in text, where do you think the only place you could find the answer is? Where do you think? And besides Google, yes, Google, the interweb, awesome place. But if I'm asking a question and it's a sink or swim and it can't be found in the text, where do you think the answer comes from? Jackson? Your brain. It does. Answer not found in text. It comes from your experience. It comes from personal experience. It's not found in the text. These are like, you know, when you take those I-STEP tests or those standardized tests, and you have that writing prompt that's like, or on 2 weeks ago on Monday when I said, describe your perfect summer day. Did I give you any kind of background knowledge to go off of?
Wait. This is my favorite question.
Yes, exactly. They're your favorite kind of questions, Micah, because this is where you're talking from yourself. So it comes from personal experiences. It's questions like, so I'm going to say questions like, tell me about a time. right? Tell me about a time you went swimming. If you've never been swimming, could you answer that question? Tell me about a time you went swimming. Could you answer? Micah?
Yeah.
But if you've never been swimming, could you tell me about a time you went swimming? No. So that's where if you don't have any background knowledge on the topic or personal experience, you won't be able to answer these on my own questions. So it's like, tell me about a time. It's, in your opinion. I know, because if you don't have an opinion, in your opinion, should students be required to wear uniforms to school? So yes, if you didn't even know what a school uniform was, could you even talk about that? No. See that? So it's like in your opinion questions. It's, based on experience. Based on experience. Basically, anything you don't have information about. It's something you know. These questions are based off of, again, I'm going to say it again one more time, personal experiences not found in the text. These are literally on your own. That's why I call these sink or swim questions. Because it would be, an example would be, tell me about a time you met someone that didn't treat you the best. Like Julian in Wonder. If you've never had an experience where someone's treated you kind of bad on the first time you met, like Julian didn't really treat Augie, you wouldn't have anything to write about. See what I'm saying? Those are those questions. A lot of on my own questions are those personal connections to stories that teachers ask you. Lindley.
If you ever give us a question like that and we've never had an experience like that, do we just put down it's never happened to me?
That's a great, okay, I like that question. That's an awesome question. If I ever ask you an on my own question, like describe or tell me about a time that you have felt the way Augie felt and you've never felt like that, then I want you to say, I have never felt like this before. I have never experienced that before, but based on the story or this is how I think I might feel, and explain it that way. So it's good to, honesty is the best policy, but that still means you need to explain, kind of have some empathy and sympathy to put yourself in those shoes. So yeah, you just start out by saying, I've never experienced this before, I don't have a time, but this is what I think what I would feel like, or this is what I think that would happen. Does that make sense? Yeah. Awesome question. So those are the 4 main questions in the world, and now you know where to find all the answers in the world. Boom! And we just recorded our first activity. Oh wait,